This is how you use your imagination the right way to manifest your desire. Let us dive into that right now. And as you can see on the screen right now, there is an illustration that was on one of Neville's kind of like lectures, the cover. And this illustration shows us what imagination is. It shows us what our imagination allows us to do. And throughout this video, you will learn what it is. I'm going to share quotes with you. I'm going to share examples with you. I'm going to share with you how to imagine, how not to imagine. So this video will be loaded with a ton of very valuable information if you want to learn how you can really shift states, manifest new things, go into the unseen reality and bring forth new manifestations. And therefore, let's look at this image right now. And we see that there is a guy sitting on a chair in a room and drinking some tea or coffee. But at the same time, we see that this man is actually sitting like on a park bench in a park outside. You see, so there are two worlds portrayed in this one image. One world is the world of physical senses, right? Let's just say that this is Neville. So physically, he's right now sitting on this park bench that you can see in black. But in his imagination, he places himself right now as already being, for example, with his wife, with his partner, with a friend of him, right? So internally, he is somewhere completely different, although externally, he now is sitting on this park bench. So you should already get a sense of the direction that we are going to take in this video. And I want to illustrate that with a very simple overview right now so that you can really understand what is imagination. Portrayed on the left side, we see your current state. So just imagine that as your current world. Look around you right now, look into your world, look into your life. That is your state, your reality right now. And that is what feels so real, right? That is what your senses perceive. And again, most people, majority of people in this world, they lost themselves in that and they think, okay, that's the only thing there is. These are the harsh facts of life. I can't change them. They're just set in stone and I just have to, in a sense, obey them. Now, the imaginative man or woman knows that something else is the case because we know, wait a second, via our imagination, we can perceive something that is right now, of course, not manifested in our sense world, but that is still in existence. Otherwise, we could not imagine it, we could not feel into it, we could not perceive it, we could not be aware of that. So our imagination allows us to tune into an alternate state, an alternate existing reality. Basically something to, if that sounds too woo-wooish to you, to say it easier, it allows you to tune into a non-manifested possibility, or now something that is also possible, but it's not manifested yet, but you can become aware that it is already in existence, right? So imagination itself, and I will talk more about this in a second, that's not visualization. So don't equal imagining with visualizing. Visualizing is one aspect of imagining, of looking into an alternate state, an alternate reality. But imagining encompasses like all senses. If it's visualizing, if it's like seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, again, your imagination allows you to tune within your consciousness, within awareness, within creation, into something that is not yet manifested, but still in existence. And if we take it one step further, we see that there are infinite states, right? You're right now dwelling in one state, but that's not the only state there is. So if that's poverty, loneliness, you're single, you're not with your desired partner in your desired relationship, you are not in the business circumstances that you want to be, you want way more, you want to achieve greater goals, greater desires that you have, no matter what it is, if it's health or that's your current state. If you lose yourself in that state, you will carry on that state and perpetuate it and continue to get the same results and manifestations for a very long time. If you understand and if you start to consciously use your awareness, aka your imagination, you dwell within in something that's not seen yet, you have no evidence for that, that is you utilizing your power. That is you utilizing imagination. So it's not something fancy, it's not something crazy, it's something we utilize all day. Because you could not lift a finger, you could not lift your arm if you not quickly kind of like think about that, imagine that. You could not go to the grocery store if you don't think about getting something to dinner, get some food, and then you start to go there and get whatever you want. So it's always within first, and then the without, what you do externally follows. So again, understand that imagination, it's nothing complicated, it's nothing difficult. It's simply you tuning into something, you dwelling on something that is right now not manifested. And the good news is that you can dwell on every desirable reality or in every desired reality or state because they all exist since creation is finished. And that means that every desire you have, so let's just say you are right now here. Again, this is all right now, right here within you. There is no one state that's over there and one state that's over here, right? All of these states are at your disposal. They're right here. So let's just say you're in one state, you want to be in a completely different state. Your imagination is what allows you to take your focus away from what is and to dwell in, to focus, to become aware, to put your attention on what you want and to make that more natural. And once you internally live in that new reality, then also externally your world will be molded around that new inner state. And this is how many people approach life, right? They are right now standing here, they want to be here, having that desire, being that desired version, and they try to be, okay, first I need to do this, then this, and then this, and then this, and this, and this, and then finally, eventually, I worked my way towards it. I created that desired state, right? That desired reality. What we want to learn is that every desired state is right now achievable. You can right now feel into the accomplishment of anything that you do desire. What would it feel like? How would you feel the world? What outlook would you have right now on your current circumstances? Would you have already accomplished your goals? And that is imagination. That is jumping instantly from where you're at right now to what would it be like within. And don't get me wrong. When you do that, when Neville did this in the image we looked at, it doesn't mean that he opens his eyes after he imagined himself sitting in the living room on the, in this chair. It doesn't mean that when he opened his eyes that he will immediately be there. No, but he will have set something in motion. He will have activated that reality, that state that he imaginatively was in right now, right here. And then maybe this friend calls him. Maybe he's just propelled to visit that friend or this woman, right? No matter what and how and when, but the goal and the final result will be that where he is in imagination right now, right here, he will also be there in the flesh, in his physical world, in his circumstances. Because where you place your imagination, where you become aware of, right, where you shift into. So Neville was externally here, but it's in his imagination here now. He brought that state in the here now and didn't focus on what his senses tell him, that I'm on this boring park bench. And when you do that, that is activated. That is basically what you make alive. And then that is what you're going to encounter. That is why Neville said, imagining creates reality. Although that's kind of wrong because you're not creating reality, you're basically shifting into an already existing reality. So that's the power of your imagination, right? It connects you with, it's like a tuning fork with which you can tune into any state and download the feeling of what it would be like and more so soak in that state. And now some explanations from my side on that before we then talk about some Neville quotes and before we talk about how you imagine the right way, because still a lot of people, they apply this in a very, very fundamentally wrong way. So our imagination is the faculty to shift into non-physical images and sensations that are not perceived through the physical senses, but that are still existing here and now. Exactly like I said. Within your imagination, within your awareness, within your inner reality, you can translate imagination. If that word is too, you think that's only for childs, translate it simply to your inner reality, your inner realm, right, where you dwell within. Everything's possible, right? There are no limits. Everything you can imagine exists since creation is finished, and therefore you can manifest it. The average person uses their imagination against them, not maybe always against them, but definitely in a more like destructive way, and they imagine negative things or worst case scenarios, right? They unconsciously imagine, they unconsciously dwell on states that they actually don't even want to encounter and manifest, but they're not aware of that they are the cause of why they dwell within, that this is what they get reflected back in their world. So most people only look what's in front of them and they judge by appearances and they say to themselves, this is how it is, this is how my life is, and I can't change the circumstances because this is right now in front of me. That is only for the undisciplined person. That is only for the person that only takes for granted what is. People that only take their cue from their circumstances. We want to stop doing that. We want to plant new seeds. We want to live in the non-physical. We want to live in our imagination and plant seeds, shift in states, dwell on states that are right now unseen for your senses. But the more you awaken your imagination and that greater sense of your being, that is inside of you, right? That imaginative self, the more you can see that you can internally already live in wellness state, although that it's not yet manifested. And as you continue to do, that is going to be pushed out. That is going to be materialized. So your imagination, like I said, is your internal world. And as Neville said, as within, so without. So I can also right now be, in this room, in front of this camera, recording this video, but I could right now close my eyes, and if I relax and simply rest as awareness for a little bit and become calm, go into this state akin to sleep, right? Just a relaxed state of mind, I can now start to dwell what it would be like to be in my friend's house, to be here, to be there, to be with this person, to have accomplished this. I can hear congratulations, or I can internally start to dwell on something that is right now not here, but that's still real, that's still in existence. So if you use, now we come already in the area of talking how you actually apply your imagination the right way. So if you use your imagination simply as a fancy little tool to get you some things, but then you go back to the old way of living life, and you try to manipulate your reality, you are still internally trying to make it happen. I want you to stay with me right now, and please understand this. We understood, and you should have understood by now, that the mirror of life can only confirm what is. Right? In life, you don't get what you want, what you hope for, what you wait for. No, you get what you are convinced of. You get what is natural to you. You get what you are identified with. You get the states that you have alive within you. That is what you get reflected back. So within comes first, and then without. So if within, you always try to get it. You always try to see it separate. You just try within to make something happen. So you say, oh, I imagine this. I dwell in this state. I feel into this state to make it happen soon. Where do you stand in reality of not having it, of not being it? So therefore, the mirror of life can't confirm it to you, because it can only confirm what you are. And I will in a second show you again how to imagine the right way. So the moment of imagining, we become aware of something that is not manifested yet. Like I said, so the moment you imagine it, it happens. The moment you imagine as you dwell in consciousness, right, in the unseen reality, you dwell in the end. That is it. That is the wish fulfilled. The manifestation is the consequence of what you already made alive within yourself. So don't imagine to get something in the future and to wait, because that is only going to delay it. Be it right now. Shift into it for the sake of, in the non-physical, in your inner realm, to already be it. And not to be it, but secretly wait for that state still to hopefully manifest. No, it can only manifest when it's done within. And this is the wrong way, right? People approach imagination with this premise. They say, I'm going to imagine this desire, this congratulation, having achieved this, and all of that, in order to make it happen and experience it in the 3D world. So I'm imagining it to get it soon. I'm imagining it to get it in the future. Like I just said, that will delay your manifestation, maybe even forever, but at least for a very, very, very long time. Because when you understand this, then you will know what I mean. Right? If you use your inner realm as a tool to get something of what you think is the set in stone reality, you're always in this battle. You're always in, oh, that's bigger, and I have to do internally things to manipulate my outer world. If you acknowledge the outer world as a reverberant, as an echoing, delayed mirror of what you do inside, then give yourself the permission to right now fully be in the wish fulfilled, and not try to make something happen. Because if within you're still in the mode of trying to get it from the future, that means that within it is not done yet, so it cannot be mirrored back to you. So that is why this is the wrong approach. Don't imagine to get. And how do you imagine the right way? Well, remember that your inner realm, that consciousness, that your awareness that this is the only reality. You right now only perceive one tiny portion of reality, which is what your senses perceive, but there's way more. Right? There's way more that is outside of your senses that you can dwell on, that you can perceive, that you can become aware of. And that is why the right premise is that I'm imagining this for the sake of having the experience right now, right here, because it is real, because it is happening right now, not because I want to make it happen in the future. That's delaying it. No, if I want to manifest a car, what would imply I have this car? My best friend would say to me, wow, like, how much horsepower does this have? Or I want to manifest this apartment, and I imagine that me, my friends, my family, we celebrate in the new apartment. Or I want this partner who would congratulate me. Or I want business success. What would be different? What would change in my lifestyle? Right? I want to imagine that and bathe myself in that experience. Remember that imagination is spiritual sensation. When Neville sat on that park bench on this gray day, that is what his senses tell you, but with his spiritual sense, right? Seeing with the eye of God, seeing with the eye of imagination, he basically placed himself in this amazing apartment, on this amazing chair, having a conversation with a person. That was where he dwelt with him. And that was happening in that moment, because there is only the now moment. There's never past, future. It's all a big now. Everything is existing right now, right here. And what you are imagining, what you are aware of, is happening, is real, is already in existence. And you tune into that right now via your imagination. And if you tune into that, that is where you get the wish fulfilled from. That is where you get the feeling of relief from, because you right now already experienced to have achieved it. You hear the congratulation that implies that you are now it, that it is now done. So you can dwell in that, and then because you feel it's done, you no longer will even try to make something happen. You will no longer even feel the need to do something, or to wait for it, or to hope for it, or you ask yourself, what can I do to now get it? No, it is completely done for you, because you experience it being done. And then your world will compel you and others and everything that's necessary to also manifest where you already dwelt with him. So don't imagine to delay, to hope for, to wait, to get in the future. No, imagine to fully satisfy your desire in the here now, to satisfy your hunger. Right? When you have physical hunger, you eat food to satisfy your hunger. When you have a hunger, aka a desire, you're satisfied by experiencing the wish fulfilled of it here and now. That's it. And then the manifestation will happen as a consequence of the wish fulfilled that you encountered, that you gave yourself within. Because remember, the saying is, believe you have received, and then you will. Right? Not trying to make something happen believe you have received. Where can you believe that you have received something? In your imagination, via your imagination. You can develop a certain sense of faith, of conviction, because you dwell in that end state, in that end reality so often until it becomes natural and habitual and certain to you. It is imagining which makes one a leader, while the lack of it makes one a follower. Most people are totally unaware of the creative power of imagining, and they bow before the dictates of facts, and they accept life on the basis of the world without. But when you discover this creative power within yourself, you will boldly assert supremacy of imagination and put all things in subjection to it. This is the creative power in man, in woman, in you. Right? Believe me, imagination is spiritual sensation. Take my words to heart and achieve your every desire. Learn to walk by faith and not by sight. Walking by sight means you simply walk by what is. Walking by faith is you walk by the experiences you had in your imagination. You walk by what is already real for you within, in the unseen reality. And if you do that, that will also merge into the sight, merge into your sense world. All objective visible states were first subjective invisible states, and you called them into the visible by assuming the feeling of their reality. The creative process is first imagining and then believing the state imagined. Always imagine and expect the best. The world cannot change until you change your conception of it, until you change your inner reality. As within, so without. Nothing is impossible. And now please listen carefully, because there are two ways to interpret this statement, both which are correct. The obvious meaning of this statement is that it's possible to achieve anything you want, right? It can be also interpreted to mean that it's impossible for nothing to exist. Again, when we say, in like the community in general, when we say nothing is impossible, then usually we understand that, okay, I can achieve everything. Nothing is impossible. For me, I can achieve every desire that I have. But also it can mean that it is impossible for nothing to exist, right? Nothingness is impossible. But it's not possible that there is nothing. So everything we are aware of in some way, shape, or form, everything you do imagine, every image that is coming up, every feeling that is coming up that you perceive, in some way is something. It is inconceivable that something can come from nothing and that something can become nothing. It is a fact that nature abhors a vacuum and always rushes in to fill it with something. Some force or power created all that is. Creation is finished. It simply means that your desired state, your desired version of you, the desire you want to manifest, is already in existence, because it is not impossible for something to not exist, right? And the good thing is that when you shift internally into having it, into being it, you create what Neville calls a vacuum, because externally, it's not there yet. Internally, you're living in the conviction that it is done. And then your consciousness, your imagination, the power orchestrating everything will rush in and mold everything around the new state that you already dwell in internally. That which you experience in your imagination is an actual creative act. It is effect in the fourth dimension of space, right? It is effect outside of your senses. When you imagine it, that's it. So would we not be bound to a three-dimensional world, right, of senses? When you imagine something, you would instantly be there. You would instantly have it. You could close your eyes, you would imagine this, boom, it's there, right? But because we are bound to time and space in this world, things happen via a bridge. So if you right now imagine yourself to have the partner, the relationship, the money, the business success, the car, the apartment, X, Y, and Z, you have it within instantly. You can dwell in that feeling state, but externally you will walk through a bridge, right? So in the fourth dimension, it's already there, and it will make its appearance in the three-dimensional world just as surely as planting a seed will result in the growth of that particular plant. Once you have planted the seed in your imagination in the non-physical, in the inner realm, do not uproot it by being anxious about how it will be accomplished. Each seed has its own appointed time. Some seeds take a few days, others take longer. Your imagination will draw all that it needs to make your dream an actual reality. If it takes others to play a part in order to accomplish your end, your imagination will draw that person into the drama to play his or her part in the sequence of events. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to your imagined act until you experience it in your outer world. What you do in your imagination is an instantaneous creative act, like I said. However, in this world, things appear in a time sequence. Therefore, it may take a short interval of time to realize it in the outer world, what you just experienced in your imagination. After you've performed the act in your imagination, open your eyes and go about your normal, natural affairs, confident that what you've done must come to fruition in the world. That's why I showed you that example of Neville in the beginning, right? So he put himself imaginatively in the end. He opened his eyes again. Of course, he was in the park still, but then again, things happened that got him to sit also physically in that chair. That's also what he did when he wanted to go out of army, right? He was physically tied to being in the army. He put himself imaginatively in already being back in his apartment with his family, and then things happened and he got honorably discharged and he could leave the army, and he was then back home because he first experienced himself there in imagination. So your imagination will use whatever natural means are necessary to bring it about, to manifest your goal. I'm the beginning and the end. My ways are past finding out. Your imagination ways, your true self's ways, consciousness ways, God's ways, the beingness behind your ego has ways that you will never understand. So that's it for this video. Let us conclude it by looking at this amazing illustration from Neville again, because this is really a key illustration for me. So I hope that this video helped you. I know that you right now have a better clue, a better understanding of how to imagine, of how also not to imagine what is going to delay the results, and that you simply want to imagine, to experience the wish fulfilled, to dwell in the end state here and now, and not to expect something from the future. If you understand that creation is finished and that all is right now, that there is no future, no past that you can wait for, that all is right now, then give yourself the permission to feel right now into your already accomplished desire. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, feedback, comments, then leave it in the comment section. If you want to benefit from my main two resources, then check out my free masterclass and of course my program, in case that you want to work together with me, like-minded people, you want accountability, you want a structured system of how to really apply all of this step-by-step, integrate all of this step-by-step in your life. You can schedule a free call with me or with someone from my team so that we can see if we are a good fit. We're going to explain to you how the program works. Also, once you applied, you will find a page that shows you exactly how the program works, what's included, and the enrollment fee and all of that. And then when we are a good fit, we're going to invite you, we'll get you started, and then we can work together so that you can manifest your goals applying Neville's teachings. So that's it. Talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.